Let's move on to our next interesting session coming up right on this very stage on the topic managing risk in platform-led investing, AI as a support function versus sole function. We have four speakers joining us today to talk to us about this topic. So please put your hands together and welcome our first speaker. We have Mr. Kausal Malladi, CTO at IND Money. Can we have a clap for sir? Yes? A warm welcome to you, sir. Next up, we have Mr. Praveen Shankaran, the COO at KFin Technologies. A big applause for sir as he comes up on the stage. We also have Mr. Rishi Nathany joining us from MCX India, who is the CBO. A warm welcome to you, sir. Along with Mr. Vivek Karna, the founder of zoven.ai. And taking this conversation forward and monitoring this session, we have Mr. Rishikesh Bhise joining us, who is the head policy and governance at Deserve. Can we have a clap for them, everybody? Yes? Five gentlemen on the stage to talk to us on a super interesting topic. So over to Mr. Rishikesh to take the conversation forward.
Hi everyone, this is a very interesting topic and this is a post-lunch topic, so we'll take it very quick and we'll take quite an interesting questions here. So in the recent, we are seeing quite a lot of transformation happening with AI. In the capital markets, we have like things are scaling big time. We have 9 out of 10 investment managers who are using AI quite a lot. So is this like really a hype or is this an actual utility is what is the question. So this brings to a very interesting question. Is AI a reliable pilot or it should remain a co-pilot? With this, I think here is my first question to the panel. The first question to Kushal is the extreme speed of execution risk that is coming up. Are we losing the gut instinct and the disciplined approach, or that is a traditional set for a great fund manager?
Firstly, thanks for having me here. Very good question to start with. My couple of cents on that is, it is definitely, AI is definitely an enabler in a lot of places. And then how I treat AI today is, we definitely, in the market space, especially the space where we are in, we definitely want to decouple the signal layer and the execution layer. So we obviously don't want the AI to come into the execution layer at any point of time sooner, right? And then even in the signal layer, to answer to your question, is it great? Yes, it is definitely great to have signals because now you can actually mine a lot of data faster from multiple different sources and everything else, good and bad. It has both the good and the bad. So of course, how to reduce the bad is by having a separate deployments, ensuring that it has only access to a limited amount of data, not the public models and then everything else. So what this is giving people is an ability to be able to derive insights faster. Still, a human mind is still required. So I don't think a human, AI can replace a human mind, especially here, but it is kind of amplifying the speed at which someone can actually come to a conclusion. And then with that, people have leverage to be able to give different sorts of insights to different sets of people with different slicing and dicing. I mean, if it was a human who has to do a lots of slicing and dicing and then give out the kind of inputs, it would have not been possible, right? And then it is, AI is just making the life simpler in these cases. So obviously, is it great? Definitely yes. Should we blindly believe it? No, yeah. And then do you want to take it to an execution layer? Definitely not at this point of time.
Interesting. I think that was one of a very interesting insight. With this, my next question to Vivek is that currently, as Kaushal mentioned, that there is a human that is needed in the process. Is there a maker checker? Now, majority of the maker work is what AI is doing. Whereas the checker is still a human intervention that is needed. So what are your thoughts on that aspect, and when will this checker mechanism go and we will have a complete dependency on AI?
Yeah. So very pertinent question, and then this keeps coming up in terms of how deep AI can actually go in, and I'll try and explain this in very simple terms for the audience. So I mean the whole Gen AI sort of the revolution happened on the back of all the human knowledge was already there, right? So that was a bootstrap. And the kind of 3 years back when we started building AI products, and this time where we started our own startup as well, the more of the use cases were more generic in nature because that's what AI was sort of like mostly applications were trained on and all of that, right? Now you see a lot more, first of all, vertical applications happening. What it means is that in any process, in a risk, for example, risk space, there would be obviously the way things have been running operations is that there's a maker and a checker. And traditionally it has been humans as a maker and a checker. And if you look at any organization onboarding a maker, right, there would be sort of training that would happen in terms of what the SOP is, and training would happen on tools also. And the tech world would have built basically specific tools for specific actions. And there's so many different type of risks that you gauge during the entire business operations that you do, right? So what is changing is that now instead of say having very specific tools for specific processes and having to train humans on that, what you do is basically spin up AI agents who are actually trained on those specific like SOPs, and so you do not really have one single AI agent doing everything. So to give you a sense, for example, if you're doing a profiling of a customer, then you would have an agent just for looking at their, say, profiling from their online, presence, right? You would have a different agent looking at their financials and doing profiling basis that, right? And they are just trained, specialized just on these, right? So that, but now with AI, what happens is that when you can have different AI agents trained on all of this, but you don't need different tools. What you definitely need is basically one SOP, so SOPs that you have, train them, and then all the output that comes in, it goes through a checker based on certain risk thresholds, right, is when the checker comes in. I don't see the checker part will actually go away. There are multiple reasons against for that. Few of them would be for the same reason as why Gen AI has evolved. For it to go deeper and keep evolving, you need to have some feedback loop coming in. And that feedback loop comes in from the checkers, right? Because they are the ones who are checking and telling whether the output was correct or not, right? And that goes back into training. So think of a person who is sort of improving on a daily basis. That's what would happen with checker. I don't think checker will anytime go away, and especially for high value transactions, you don't want to completely rely on an AI agent to make calls, right? You would want some human review to be there as well.
Yeah, I think that is one of a very interesting insight. My next question is to you, Rishi. Now the exchanges are becoming AI native for the surveillance, for flagging of the trading. And as we flip the coin, do we see a risk of herding behavior in terms of AI giving all the insights? And do we see that as one of the behaviors of the user?
So luckily not as yet, but I don't know how the future will portend. But what I do say is that it is something which we should always be cognizant of, that it could come up maybe in the future, especially given algo trading and then retail algos, because end of the day, everyone is studying the same models, everyone is thinking alike, and the problem with markets now is not who did it, but how many people did it. So if there's a herd mentality or a flash mob, that leads to more volatility in the markets, right? Because every system is throwing up the same, say, buy call or a sell call, and everyone is trying to do the same thing, and then it happens in an instant. So the idea is that how to manage your surveillance such that you come to know that what is the underlying reason and then act on it. See, you can never delegate trading or investment decisions, especially trading, which is like a time sensitive or a price sensitive decision, to AI. Of course, people could say they could, but end of the day, from an exchange standpoint, what we see is that while AI can be a facilitating tool, but the end surveillance would remain in the hands of the person. And I'll give you a very simple example. That in commodity exchanges, there is something called position limits. So when someone is trading, there is a clubbing. So for example, if four people are related together, they cannot have, one person or four together could not have more than a certain limit. So to circumvent that limit, many people may try to trade through different entities, but then AI could help catch that, right? Which might be very difficult for a human being.
But do you see this risk in the future, as you said that this may come up?
See, today we are talking about AI. Maybe 20 years back we didn't even know what it was, right? So never say no for anything, but always be prepared is what I would say.
Yeah. Interesting. My next question to you, Praveen, is you process transactions at a huge scale. And if you look at the transaction in this huge scale, the black box error could impact millions of transactions quite instantaneously. Is there a human in the loop model, and is it even scalable at the volumes that you deal in?
Thank you for the interesting question, Rishi. But I would like to argue on the analogy used, which is human in the loop. The scale at which financial markets are operating, human in the loop essentially does not mean that human is in every transaction. Essentially, if that were the model, definitely it will never be scalable.
Correct.
Right? And what scales is, while humans is required in every loop, but it is not only for the transaction processing, what my co-panelists have told, that maker and checker. What scales is human should be in the design, human should be in the governance, and human should be in the exception management. Let me explain this a bit. Today, we allow AI and automation to operate at speed, at machine speed, for standard, low risk, and processes which are compliant, the workflows which are very compliant. Human intervention comes in three aspects. One, designing the entire model, setting the threshold limits, and exception management. If a black box error or a risk emerges, the way it is designed, as I explained, the system itself is designed in a way that it will either pause, isolate, or it will detect the anomaly and it will stop the autonomy of AI. And that's when the entire accountability of a human is so important in this entire loop. Although it is not just for every transaction we need a human intervention. So I honestly believe that human intervention is required because it comes with a lot of governance, and governance brings accountability, and accountability brings trust, which definitely compounds better. Hence, I feel that this entire analogy of human in the loop should be seen in a way that it is on the design, governance, and exception management.
I think that is quite an interesting insight, and that's an insight which you rarely get to know. It is only at a transaction volume processing where we can see this insight. My question to all of you here is, 5 years from now, who do you think will be the biggest winner? Will it be the best autonomous AI user, or will it be a human AI? Who will be the biggest winner? Your thoughts?
I think obviously it is becoming easier to kind of do investments. I think is also to come of AI is democratizing sort of investments as well. But I think the way I look at it is that it depends upon the the size of the transaction as well. For example, if I'm as a user, giving an analogy, right? UPI works really well, and I will be comfortable doing small transactions using UPI. But for a higher value transaction, I would want to have different kind of mechanism, different kind of checks, controls, and all of that, right? So if I have access to something where I'm doing some very micro investments on daily basis, and the system knows my goal and all of that, then it can be completely autonomous, wherein, say, some kind of review happens by investment manager maybe once in a quarter or something like that, right? But I think the nuance would come in terms of what kind of asset classes, and so I think the segmentation sort of matters. But I think human AI system is what would be the best. It will not be purely just sort of AI, in my view.
Yeah, I believe the same because I don't think everything could be done by AI. So I think the best combination will be where you use AI for uh, insights and then humans for context, judgment, and accountability.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, 5 years down the line, it's like eternity for AI. I think the way AI is changing our world rapidly, uh, I think 5 years from here, we will not be debating about who wins. I think rather we'll be debating about who approved the model. So I believe that that question 5 years down the line is too long. But having said that, I will concur with the thoughts that my co-panelists have shared. We have to lay the foundation from now. Hence, a team with human AI teams are the ones who will lay the foundation. And as I said, it has to be, there has to be an accountability, and accountability comes with human, and that's what will evolve better.
Uh, so I think my thoughts also align with the other co-panelists. But what I would call it is it's a team game, a team that has AI agents, and then the team that also has humans who actually create those AI agents, and then also do some bit of a checking, and of course automating all of that. So I'll give a quick example on how such things then help us. At IND Money, we have a customer service completely completely running through the AI agents. That doesn't mean that we do not have a customer support agents, but a majority of them are being answered by the bot, and then the bot is able to understand what the user wants, basis the data, basis the feedback, like Praveen was mentioning. So it's all a kind of a team game, right? So it cannot be that only an AI wins. It can never be. It can never. Obviously, it cannot be and should not be the case that it should be only the humans. So it's a perfect team game. Ultimately, the team that has perfect ingredients is the one that will win.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll open this. I'll open for questions to the audience. Any questions, guys?
Continuous improvement based on the feedback received and all that. See, when we see the current social media trends or something like whatever is going on, we all are familiar that how trends are going on, how feedbacks are going on. So similar type of users are there, AI users. Similar type of trends, similar type of feedbacks will be there. So how will we test the authenticity, reliability of the models? That is that the corrective action based on that feedback is correct, whether the feedback has been provided correct. Otherwise, we will be going towards the majoritarian mechanism that more people voted for that side is that model is correct. So how these actions are being taken care?
Yeah, Rishi, you can answer.
I'll just answer it from our perspective, which may be a very limited perspective. So we don't go by what the general trend is. We know the rules. It is laid down by the regulators. It is exchange is also first level regulator. So we know the rules. And accordingly, we will take the decision whether the mass is in favor of it or not. So for us, AI actually will help understand, give us better insights, because end of the day, accountability and responsibility for market behavior, proper market behavior lies with us. Markets can go up or down, but the point is it should be in an orderly fashion. So because of it, earlier the worry was, is someone manipulating the market? Today the worry is there a herd instinct? Is there a flash mob? Is there some sort of frenzy which is moving the market unwarrantedly in a particular direction? So that we know the norms. So of course we always have a yardstick to measure against.
But I think the same mechanism will not be available for other sectors. It is available. It is there that set defined rules are there, but for other sectors it's not there.
It is basically about building the right feedback systems and then right automated systems. It is not humanly possible to manually validate everything. So for example, how we do for all the AI systems that we have is we feed all of the responses that the bot is giving. What is the question? What is the response? And then again, do some sort of an analytics on top of that to see how accurate we are, and then where are we diverging, how many hops are there for a user to be able to arrive at. For example, ours is a chatbot use case. And then there could be many other use cases. So how many questions is the user having to input before he arrives at the right or the place that he wants intended to be? So there is a lot of engineering that happens basis the data, so which is very essential for us to get the things right. Secondly, also when in the choice of models, and then the prompt engineering is also not is not a straightforward thing. So to be able to actually get the right output out of an AI system, in some cases you will have to prompt it in the way you want it to, how you need to know how to do it. And then in some cases it also has to be fed with the right amount of data, and then all of that. And then you need to cut unnecessary branches where required. So this whole loop where there is going to be, what is the data layer, what is the execution layer, and then what is the feedback, all of them have to be coming in place, with all of them being automated. It cannot be manually done. And then what is the thresholds that we want to live with is up to the organization, right? Everyone can have a different view on that.
Yeah, I kind of largely agree with this, and just adding a nuance to this, right? For example, just on transaction sort of, monitoring piece and figuring out how early can you figure out any kind of, sort of, discrepancies coming in or some kind of biases coming in, right? Is basically, you have AI agents. So earlier, before AI, what would happen is that will take a lot of time to really react to situations, events, right? Now with AI, it's much easier because now analysis can actually happen on real time, right? For example, the transaction monitoring systems were primarily, say, rule-based. Now it's going more towards AI-based, where you don't really need a human analyst to really go through all the transactions and figure things out. It will automatically take the feedback in, understand where it's coming from, what is the pattern across different, type of transactions, and then flag things up. Right? So that is the way you would use AI here to find early warning signals faster.
I would like to add here. So you just mentioned that what Rishi said, the kind of regulations and the operating procedures that we follow. See, we all are part of the financial infrastructure, and when we deal with financial infrastructure, there is an added trust on the institutions who are managing the money of millions of investors. Now, it's not like AI is not adopted. AI is heavily adopted in financial infrastructure companies. And there are a lot of decisions and recommendations that are generated out of AI. But every decision, as we see, the decisions can be explained with evidence. There is a complete audit trail for every decision. And there is always a human layer on top of how a decision has to be taken. Hence, the complete adoption of AI is also powered by the human intelligence and the processes that our regulators and our industry bodies are suggesting us.
Just to add to that, so to what Praveen said, is that today as an exchange and all exchanges, we process crores of trades and orders every day with tens of lakhs of people trading every day. Now, if we did not adopt or do not adopt AI, it would be virtually impossible for us to keep a track of what is happening. So it gives us scalability. But end of the day, it will only give that scalability for insights. Whether to press that red flag or not, it can throw up red flags, but to accept those red flags is the human insight which will depend.
Any other questions? Yeah, ma'am, please. Can we have the mic?
Hi, myself Nagafani from Zagriti AI. So here I have one question. How are we managing risk? Beside the true, false, positives, negatives, there will be some risk which we don't even think that is a negative feedback until and unless sometimes we do a manual thorough feedback analysis. So how can we manage that risk while we are...
I'll answer that first. So risk, as you see, is a future statement. It is never of the past. Although the risk models that are designed to manage risk in financial markets that is based on the past data, the patterns, but of course risk is future, right? So the way risk management is done in financial market, it is by design. So we don't react after an incident happens. The entire risk management, when we deploy a model, is when we design it at that very that moment, right? Hence, it is always in the design that what is the risk threshold, what are the threshold settings we have done, where we will manage the exception, and every exception is will go to a human intelligence, and only human, since they have the accountability, they will be passing those decisions. Hence, those thresholds are designed on the basis of past data, but of course, right at the time of deploying the model and not after an incident occurs.
Yeah. Here, I just want to stress out on a use case where our competitor is launching few products which we might be aware of, but we didn't understood at that moment, where we thought it as an outlier. But down the line, in 6 months to 1 year, whether it is a finance transaction or a product which we are selling out, that seriously impacts the customer churn down the line. So how can we fine tune our models to avoid such kind of risk while we are doing it?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you want see, it is, I think you're talking about some bit of a forecasting and prediction, if I'm not wrong, right? So with this forecasting and prediction, obviously there is also accuracy percentages that you are going to live with. So, I mean, like how Praveen was putting it together, you need to know what is the target accuracy percentage that you want to live with, and then try to hinge onto the system, but also continue to keep the data feeding it back. Obviously, 1 year in your case is a very long time. So if you have developed something about a year back, and then that is still giving the same inputs today, without taking the market data into it or any other data, new data coming into it, then it is a bad system design, right? So it has to be a consistent feedback loop going into the system. And obviously, while in the example that you suggested, if there is anyone, your competitor, trying to do something, you would have some signals obviously there, right? So, and those signals have to alert you that, hey, get ready on that. So, instead of making a system this is what I was telling in the first opening remarks, right? Instead of making the system only rely on a specific set of inputs, we need to kind of make that input itself expandable, so that you can make your AI more effective.
Any other questions?
Thank you. That answers my question.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think thank you everyone. Through the discussion, we have established that how AI will help in multiple aspects. But one of the major parts that we have concluded in the discussion is human is one of the most important element in looking at the governance, looking at building these models, and also building the complete AI tool. Thank you everyone. Thank you.